This video will talk about how to use the TI graphing calculator to graph a slope-intercept equation, a horizontal line, a vertical line. Talks about changing the window, looking at a table, and finding the intersection to find your y value or x values as well. So let's start by typing in y equals. What we can do is type negative. So whenever you want to begin something, you want to use the negative. 3 over 2x, I'm going to go plus 30. If this was a minus 30, then it should have been a minus instead of a negative. If you put negative, then it would have been multiplying times negative 30 instead of minusing 30. However, I'd like to do plus 30, so I'm going to change this to plus 30. So if it begins with, then it's a negative, but if it follows something, then it's a minus. So right now I could hit graph, but notice I don't see anything. The problem is that my window is right here. This is window. This is called a standard window. Negative 10 for the x min, 10 for the x max, counts by 1s on the x scale. Again, y min is negative 10, y max is 10, y scale is 1. You can also get this window by doing zoom 6. Zoom 6, you can either hit 6 or scroll down to 6. That will give you what's called a standard window. So x min goes to the left, x max goes to the right, y min goes down, y max goes up. So what I need to do is, because my y-intercept's starting at 30 and I'm going down, I'm going to have to go to change up, which means I need to change my y max to be at least 30. Let's say maybe 35. And now if I graph, I should see. Notice I don't see where this ends over here, so I'm going to move to the right. So again, x is your left and right. X min goes to your left, x max goes to your right. So I need to change my x max. Maybe let's make that do 30 as well. You can change your scale then if you want. You don't have to. Okay. Sometimes it makes it a little easier to see. I do see all of my stuff here, so that's good. If I want to put in or look at the table, then you can do second graph. See that in blue there's table. So now this is my x, here's my y values. So at 0 it's at 30, at 1 is at 28.5. You can scroll up, you can scroll down. One thing to note is if you're in the y column, you can't go up. You have to be in the x column to scroll to more negative, towards the negative part. You can be in the y column to go down. It just doesn't let us go back up. So just be aware of that. If you would like to change where you're starting at, we hit second, table set. See the TBL SET, that's table set. This is your starting number. What number do you want to start at? This delta TBL stands for change in your table. So how much are you counting by? So for example, if I want to start actually at, let's say I want to start at 10 for some reason, and I'd actually prefer to count by 3s instead. Now if I go to my table, starts at 10, goes to 13, 16, 19. Again, there's still your y values. So that's how you can change your table. And I'm still going to just leave it at starting at 0. I'm going to count by 1s. So if I'm okay, what is x when it's 9? I can just scroll down to 9, and that's 16.5. You can also do that on your graph, hitting graph. If you hit trace, trace will let you type in any x value you'd like. So that's 9. I could type in 15. I can even type in 50 if I like. Oh no, I can't. The issue here is because if I go to my window, the furthest x values I can go is up to 30 and down to negative 10. You can't do anything outside your domain, so that's the issue. So I could, if you look at this, hit trace again. I can type in 29. Notice that 29 is at negative 13.5. That's down here. It doesn't actually show. But because it's within my domain, it will give me that value. Okay, so if you get an error, it's probably outside your domain. You need to change your window. So a couple things you can do there. Now, if, for example, I wanted to find when is my window, or when is my y value equal to, let's say, 20. What I can do is go to y equals, I can type in 20, because I want to find when y is 20, hit graph. It's now graphing those two lines. I can find where those two lines intersect at second trace. See the CALC, that stands for calculate. You can find an x value, that's that trace feature. We'll talk about zeros, mins, max when we get into quadratics. Right now we're just going to use this feature of intersect. So if you use intersect, right now it says first curve. Notice that I'm on the blue line, that's up here. You can alternate between them by hitting up or down. All you have to do when you're on intersect is actually just hit enter. I'm on the second curve, just hit enter. Guess, just hit enter. So this answers at 6 2/3 to get to 20. And notice that this 6 2/3 is not an easy thing to find. For example, on my graph, if I wanted to find when is this equal to 20, I see that that happens between 6 and 7. But if I want to, sorry, I'm looking at the table, not the graph. So it's between 6 and 7, but if I want to count by 0.1s, I can see it's at around the 6 part. But again, that's not 20. So using the table to try to find a x value is not always very easy. That's why I suggest doing the graph. Again, that second trace, number 5 is the intersect, and all you have to do is hit enter, enter, enter. Boom, there's your answer. The other thing I can show you is if instead of doing y value is 20, we could do something different. We can also graph horizontal or vertical lines. So this is a horizontal line. If you don't want to get rid of it, you want to be able to use that equation later, you can hit enter on it. Notice that my equals is no longer highlighted. So that will now keep that equation, but it doesn't graph it. That's kind of a handy feature. For vertical lines, there are two ways you can do vertical lines. One is to use the draw feature. That's in blue here. So second, draw vertical line at 14, hit enter. We'll draw that. The issue here is that it doesn't actually recognize this as something. So if I try to do intersect, there's nothing to enter. There's no second curve, so there's nothing to intersect with. We don't actually need to find that intersection because we know the x is 14. We can literally just go to 14 on our blue one and just plug in 14. So that's a way to draw a vertical line, but it isn't something that you can find the intersection of moving forward. So those are the things that you can do though with your TI calculator.